So this question is asking about which of the following could indicate source document fraud. So source documents would be the actual documents of the company. And we're going to be looking for where somebody intentionally committed fraud. So we'll go through and see which one makes the most sense here. But I think what will happen is you'll see, okay, if we really try to think about what this would be like in real life, if we were auditing, what would raise serious doubt in our minds? That's what we should be thinking about. So this first one says the same customer purchase order number appears on different customer invoices. So at first thought, I thought, okay, this sounds weird. Could they have the same purchase order and be sending out multiple invoices for that same purchase order? And the reality is yes, they actually could. So let's say that the customer has one giant purchase order. Now the company, we might bill that customer for that purchase order over multiple invoices. Right? It could be, an invoice for this, an invoice for that. And obviously the purchase order from the customer's perspective is still all the same, right? So that actually seems odd, but it's actually probably pretty common. So we're not going to call that an instance of fraud. How about the same item code appears on different invoices? Well, a company would have item codes for every product they sell. So let's say that they're selling a Jeep, right? They would have a product code for that. Now, clearly, if they sold a Jeep to different customers, well, different customers would have different invoices, but that item code for the Jeep would be the same on every invoice. So that actually is not indicative of fraud, so that's not going to be a problem at all. So that's incorrect. This next one says the same invoice number appears on different invoices. That actually does raise a lot of questions, doesn't it? An invoice number should be considered a unique identifier. So there's no reason why we would have multiple invoices with the same invoice number, right? They should all be unique. So that is probably the best option here for source document fraud, but let's check on the last one. And then this last one says the same invoice date appears on different invoices. That's not a problem at all. If we have multiple invoices generated on the same day, then clearly they would have the same date. The date is not unique. So that's going to be incorrect. And all that really leaves us with was the last option we talked about, which was the same invoice number appears on different invoices. There's no reason for the invoice number to be duplicated. That is supposed to be a unique number. That is something that the audit team would heavily look into, because that could be source document fraud. Now, we don't know why they're duplicating invoices, but that option there is the most likely one here.